Hey, what's up, guys? It's Wild here.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Scarce here.
Yep, just chilling out here, eating a fucking pencil or something. Wanna know what I like more than eating pencils? Godzilla. Yeah, the big old giant lizard has always been a favorite of mine. As a little kid, I really enjoyed seeing this giant monster fight other giant monsters and such. The first Godzilla movie I have probably seen was Godzilla's Revenge. Though the title was a bit misleading, it did have a great message on how to stand for oneself when people are trying to bully you. There were other Godzilla movies I really enjoyed too. Though when growing up and maturing, I realized that Godzilla is more than just a giant monster. And because of the messaging behind the kaiju, along with every creativity his movies have shown, I've maybe grown to like him even more. While some may not like the Big G, I still appreciate his monster culture. And who wouldn't? Though in the end, people are still gonna have a problem with Godzilla though. In case point, Dr. Skipper. On his channel, he uploaded videos saying that Godzilla doesn't work in America. A really strange point to make considering how successful the Godzilla franchise has been though. So I'm gonna go check over this video and see what points Dr. Skipper has to make here. And yes, while I know everybody has responded to this video debunking his stuff and a lot, and I know I'm not the type to tackle big YouTubers, but I gotta defend Godzilla and prove Dr. Skipper wrong here. Let's get to this. So when watching through the video, Dr. Skipper gives us this piece of information about Godzilla.
Godzilla is so popular that a lot of people didn't even know that it originated in Japan.
Okay, I can see so many things wrong with that. I'm pretty sure everybody knows Godzilla is from Japan. Even when I was a little kid, even I knew he was from Japan. Do you think people sleep under rocks or something? You know what, never mind, let's just continue.
Or that it's in the public domain in the United States, since Toho, the company that created Godzilla, never expected the freak lizard to get marvelized one day. So they didn't renew and manipulate the copyright system like a certain company.
Whoa, slow the fuck down. Did you just fucking say that Godzilla is in the public domain here in the United States? I don't know what kind of crack this guy is smoking, but Godzilla is not a public domain here in the United States. I've not seen a single source or saying that Godzilla is in the public domain here. Toho still owns Godzilla. Even legendary studios had to buy rights just to put him in their movies. I don't even know what you're trying to get from saying that.
Eventually I started learning stuff for myself in film history, okay? I was hitting the books. Books being video essays from other idiot film geeks online. Thus I went down in a really big Godzilla rabbit hole. And it gave me a big appreciation for the creature, its impact on filmmaking, and made me reevaluate how I look at the Godzilla brand as a whole.
Oh, okay. I'm glad he's appreciating Godzilla so far. Skipper, you have earned my respect.
Also, there's a big thing I need to address in this video. I kinda hate Godzilla, if we're gonna be honest.
And you just lost it. Okay, but in all seriousness, if you have appreciation for the giant monster, then why do you hate him? If not care for the king of the monsters, then why make a video of him? That's like making a video on why Batman is the greatest superhero ever, then admitting later on that he's your least favorite superhero.
To make this really easy for you to understand, Godzilla has what I like to call the Jurassic Park effect.
Okay, so what you're basically saying in this part is that Jurassic Park 1 is the only Jurassic Park movie with meaning. Well, I mean, yeah, I can actually get behind that, to be honest.
And while still making a lot of money, because they sure as hell did that, they have like no cultural impact at all. This is what happened with Godzilla.
I'm sorry, what? What do you mean Godzilla had no cultural impact? I remember Godzilla being a cultural and popular impact upon Japan, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, no cultural impact. Not to mention 100 million people from all over the globe has watched Godzilla in theaters for over 50 years. So yeah, saying Godzilla has no cultural impact is pretty dumb.
I don't have any nostalgia for the old Godzilla movies, yet I still watched them a bit when I was a kid.
The fuck?
And even rewatched them recently when I got the idea for this video. So no bias, 98% of them suck ass.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that for some reason. In the beginning, you've already admitted that you hated Godzilla, and now you're saying 98% of his films suck ass. And this is the guy who said he had appreciation for Godzilla.
Godzilla fell into the same trap that all successful franchises eventually fall into.
What?
What?
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Godzilla did not fall into the fucking trap. He's still a big hit in the box office and is still loved by many fans and other people. And in every story, there'll always be something new in it. And whenever Godzilla tries something new, it gains the audience's attention. So no, Godzilla did not fall into the fucking trap.
Godzilla's look was more fascinating to shareholders and executives than the original intentions and creativity that made him even exist in the first place.
Literally everything about this is false. Also, did you not show Godzilla Ultima there? Godzilla Ultima is literally a higher dimensional entity manifested into our dimension, and the longer he stays in it, the stronger he gets, and the stronger he gets, our universe will cave in on itself. And you're telling me that's not creative?
And some of the films are fun, I'll admit it, but for the most part, a lot of the legacy of Godzilla just reeks of cheaply made cash grabs. So when Godzilla turned into a cartoon for kids, a lot of adults stopped caring.
Okay, so I really failed to see how the Godzilla movies are cash grabs. A lot of Godzilla movies have messaging on things about the world, like how Godzilla vs. Hedorah talks about pollution. Or, like I said, Godzilla's Revenge, or All Monsters Attack, teaches us how to stand up against bullies. No matter the age of someone, they can still enjoy these movies.
So then the cycle reset, and this time Goji went to America.
Oh my fucking god, there's no way this dude skipped over the Hazy and Millennium era. The two eras that went past the childish actions that the Showa era had. Or never had at all, I guess. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
Where the same thing happened again. We got a serious Godzilla, then people complained that it was too serious with not enough Godzilla, so the franchise became Looney Tunes.
Yeah? Question here? Who the fuck complained that the 2014 Godzilla film was too serious? I've been to theaters to see it once when I was a little kid, and I don't complain that it was too serious at all. Nobody did. And Godzilla didn't become Looney Tunes either. The Monsterverse still tries to remain serious in tone, and the Monsterverse will always try to remain to keep that tone.
And the sequel somehow had worse human characters, and then people got annoyed with Millie Bobby Brown, the fat kid from Deadpool, and Alfred from Atlanta spilling water on a computer to fry Mechagodzilla's motherboard to save the day. And this made some people not really like Godzilla that much anymore.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure people still like Godzilla. And I'm pretty sure everyone who went to go see Godzilla vs. Kong didn't come out of theaters saying, I hate Godzilla, he sucks now or something. Like, seriously, there was still nothing wrong with Godzilla.
But 2014's human problem has a lot to do with how Godzilla is structured and how it being in the US hinders its storytelling. American Godzilla as a whole is an oxymoron thing to begin with. A thing made to represent America's atomic bomb in Japan is now being used for American heroism.
Coming from a guy who's seen the 2014 film, Godzilla was not used for American heroism. Godzilla was being represented as a force of nature in this film. And it shows how mankind thinks nature is in their control and not the other way around, until it bites them in the ass and Godzilla has to come in to restore balance to the earth.
So because of this, you can't really get that much depth with Godzilla, since he's the protagonist ally to the American military.
No, Godzilla is not an ally to the fucking military. The only reason the military were following him because Godzilla was after the fucking Mutos. And the military shares that same goal.
The US doesn't have the same history of catastrophe as Japan did with the atomic bomb, and America is also obsessed with patriotism. So instead of making Godzilla an allegory for the consequences of mankind's actions, or have a much larger depth of Godzilla being a force of nature against the United States, he's now instead Superman, where he gets recontextualized to be Superman.
Does this look like fucking Superman to you? Does Godzilla look like a fucking star man weighing in the sky to you? These two have very different symbols. One being a symbol of hope, truth, justice, and honor, while the other is a force in nature, showing how mankind can't predict or control nature.
And after being threatened by this walking nuke and realizing there's nothing the US could do about it, it's now going to be the savior to America against the Japanese threat.
I'm sorry, can you run that by me again?
It's now going to be the savior to America against the Japanese threat.
What in the actual fuck is this bullshit? It is clear you haven't watched the full film, because the Mutos are not from fucking Japan. They are from the fucking Philippines. Yes, while one of the Mutos did spawn from Japan, that doesn't make one of the other Mutos Japanese too.
It's quite beautiful actually how much Godzilla cares about the whole world. No, he just cares about the US because when he goes to China, even that shit gets absolutely decimated in his ego fight with the gorilla.
Godzilla actually went to China because he was being provoked by an enemy signal, which is the same thing that happens at the beginning of Godzilla vs. Kong, where Godzilla attacks Florida. Godzilla is not sucking United States dick. He's just doing what he can to protect the planet. That's all.
American Godzilla doesn't really stand for anything. Even in the 2014 film, the human characters are just a guy we follow around and his family. The United States military is skeptical at first of Godzilla's involvement, but then they just accept that he is the only hero capable of stopping the Mutos, and all is fine.
Yeah. I think it'll be obvious that they'll be skeptical. If I knew that some giant lizard is going to save the world and restore balance to the planet, I'll be skeptical too. Also, you claim Godzilla doesn't stand for anything. Did you forget what Sarazar said in the movie?
The arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control, and not the other way around. Let them fight.
So, yeah, Godzilla still stands as a force of nature. And the only reason they accepted Godzilla as the only savior is because the Mutos took their fucking nuke and endangered lots of people.
The Mutos that were awakened are instantly vilified without any nuance either. These things were forced to wake up, and all they wanted to do was produce and have kids.
Yeah. Kids that will grow up to mass murdering kaijus who will bring nothing but death and destruction to the entire planet. Sounds pretty vilified to me.
But their children were blown up by Quicksilver, then the parents were murdered by Godzilla, and everyone still claps in the end, even though everything's still in shambles and a shitload of people died.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would clap because those monsters were threatening the entire city, the planet even, and Godzilla had to do something about it.
This is drastically different from the 1954 version, where Godzilla is treated as a victim, even after he terrorizes and kills a bunch of innocent Japanese people.
These films are meant to be different. One is supposed to talk about the horrors of nuclear war and how it can affect populations across the entire globe, and the other shows the consequences of trying to control nature, and somebody has to restore it.
And instead of clapping when the threat is gone, the audience is instead reminded that Godzilla never needed to happen in the first place, and that because of bomb testing, he's now also robbed of life.
What the fuck are you talking about here? Godzilla was still the antagonist of the film, and he still shows how horrifying nuclear weapons can be on population.
American Godzilla being a Superman figure is really safe and boring and makes no sense due to the origins of the character.
You do realize these two versions of Godzilla have different origins, right? One was born off of nuclear radiation, while the other is an ancient predator, who only comes out to protect the planet and restore balance to the Earth.
2014 Godzilla isn't flawed because it has human characters and barely shows Godzilla with only a little bit of action fights. Because as we see later, those movies are even worse. 2014 is flawed because it doesn't stand for anything, and is a safe depiction that makes this Americanized monster a hero without anything to say.
The 2014 film basically says that we can't predict and control nature, and there are only forces out there who can do that and restore balance to the planet.
And I know 1954 is old, and that movie is aged, but recently a movie has come out that has blown all the Godzilla movies in the past 10 years out the water, and it was from Toho Studios, where Godzilla is back in Japan, and that movie was Takashi Yamazaki's Godzilla -1. Godzilla -1 makes American Godzilla look like an embarrassment because it does everything better.
The 2014 film and -1 are not the same movie. -1 is supposed to be a Godzilla film that has something powerful to say, and the 2014 film shows how nature restores balance when mankind cannot.
Which brings up a huge point for why this movie exists. It's once again an anti-war film where you're reminded that the Imperial Japan military was not great and that the modern Japanese government is not that great either. Japanese studios such as Ghibli and even films like 1954's Godzilla tend to only depict Japan as the victims to catastrophe from the United States.
Okay, so I watched the 1954 film on Max, and nothing shows that Japan was a victim of the United States. It's more or less showing how dangerous nuclear weapons can be and how it can affect people and other stuff.
So while I know Godzilla 1954 is very much still an anti-war film about how nukes are bad, showing what Japan went through, it does brush past that Japan's military threw a stone at the United States, killing United States civilians when they were well aware they were never going to win a conflict with the United States, but still did it anyway since they needed to get resources from claimed US lands that were under embargo laws. So Pearl Harbor was an attack on the US Navy to demoralize the US, but they didn't attack the repair yards, so it was pointless anyway, and got their whole nation nuked in retaliation.
What? Godzilla 1954 isn't meant to talk about Pearl Harbor. The film is supposed to show how horrifying nuclear weapons can be and how it can affect other states, even other populations and people. Bringing up what happened in Pearl Harbor shouldn't be used as an argument since it just happened in the past. It shouldn't be talked about now.
So when we look at the depth of something like -1 and then go back to 2014, you see more cracks of how 2014 has nothing to say.
Again, the 2014 film is supposed to talk about nature and how mankind can't control it or contain it. So please, stop saying the 2014 film had nothing to say. You're embarrassing yourself here.
My friend Sweets is Online gave me a quote when we were talking about this video. If you want to know what the biggest piggy bank is in the world, look at the United States military. Funding games like Call of Duty, movies like Top Gun, and many other pieces of media to display the United States military. You could get a lot of your budget paid when you display the military as heroic badasses. But when you see Godzilla 2014 with a budget of $160 million, with American Navy and bomb squads and Air Force all helping Godzilla save the day, it's no surprise that the film had an agreement with the Department of Defense where they provided locations, vehicles, and military representation.
And how is that an issue? Just because the military was there doesn't mean that Godzilla's image was ruined. And they are portrayed positively in this film because they are trying to stop the Mutos. They're also helping Godzilla because the Mutos took their fucking nuke and put people at risk. So it makes sense why the military will help Godzilla stop the Mutos.
And while at times the military is incompetent and kind of useless in the film, it's never acknowledged or critiqued with grand messaging. Because like I said, to bite the hand that feeds you is going to drop your budget from $160 million to low $15 million like Godzilla -1. It's why Godzilla can't work in America.
Okay, the money doesn't really affect the franchise or the character at all. Whether the budget for the movies are high or low, the Godzilla series still kept on going on.
To be critical of the United States government requires you to be independent. And by how bloated the film industry is with high film budgets and how propaganda has affected how the Godzilla character is viewed, you make more money by having Godzilla be Superman.
You do realize there are stories where Godzilla could be a hero, right? And Toho Studios invented that idea to show that Godzilla isn't just some force of destruction, but can rather be a hero to save the world. And that's fine.
Killing tons of innocent people where then they clap at him saving the day, rather than him destroying the United States with the government losing and being useless. And this has been a problem since 1956, when America turned a tragedy film to a blockbuster, gutting it of any meaning, and no surprise Godzilla King of the Monsters made way more money than Gojira.
Yeah, just a little thing you missed there. America is literally a bigger country than Japan, so it will be obvious it will make more money.
So much so that Japan stopped calling him Gojira and took on Godzilla.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
People in Japan still call him Gojira. Gojira and Godzilla are the same name, it's just been translated. So Japan never stopped calling him Gojira.
529 million, 387 million. They're making money, and that's all that matters now. But what is art, and how do we view art?
Godzilla had a stroke trying to listen to this and fucking died.
Is a nothing blockbuster funded by the US military better than a $15 million Japanese film with a lot to say because it made more money?
It literally depends on the viewer. Some may like -1 more than the 2014 film, and some like the 2014 film more than -1. Everybody can have their own opinions on both films.
Is King of the Monsters better than Gojira since it made more money?
Again, it depends on the viewer. Everybody can have their own opinions on both films.
We're beginning to look at box office as this risk-reward system, where studios don't see the risk of making something if it can't possibly 10 times its original budget. If Barbie didn't make $1 billion, was it a waste of time? If Oppenheimer didn't almost make $1 billion, was that too a waste of time? And this rubs off how we view movies. If something makes a lot of money, it must be good, and if a movie flops, it must be bad. It's the same as judging a book by its cover. Yes, there's movies that spend way too much money not being creative because they believe they could 10 times their budget by simply existing. But then we get films like Gojira and Godzilla -1, which are real creative works of art that stand for something and matter aside from just money, and they need to be praised.
Yeah, funny thing about that. They do get praised. There are many people out there talking about why -1 is a perfect movie, and the same can be said for the 1954 film.
But like how everything works, Godzilla isn't liked because of what it stands for, because what America saw was a cool giant monster that attacked Japan, not an allegory for nuclear war. And what they see now is a Superman figure that could sell toys. Godzilla has become a mascot to make money. It's why I can't enjoy the Looney Tunes version. It's why Godzilla can't work in America.
You do realize the creator of the MonsterVerse films likes Godzilla? They didn't see him as a toy seller for America, but rather a guardian of nature. A guardian that would never stop protecting the planet and will restore balance no matter what. He's more than an allegory of nuclear war. He's a protector, and he'll remain like that.
But if there's anything I can hope to get across with this video, it's to research the things you watch.
Is my mind playing tricks on me, or did he actually say that?
It's to research the things you watch.
Oh, my mind wasn't playing tricks on me. And here is where I place my brain cells.
If I had any...
-1 is a must-watch, but I fear, like 1954, it won't be acknowledged or talked about in the masses, especially in America due to its subject matter and being a foreign film.
Everybody has been talking about -1. Even me and my friends on Discord were talking about it. Even 1954 has been talked about. So stop spouting nonsense.
2014 Godzilla, you still look good and are shot very well and have the best roar, but you're nothing but a soulless, nothing piece of propaganda that breaks my heart.
Shut the fuck up. Please. Shut the fuck up. Thank God this video is finally over. And it shows how poor the research was in this video, along with making the most stupidest claims ever on why Godzilla doesn't work in America when he absolutely does. When doing a video on a franchise, make sure to actually do research first. Otherwise, you'll just be making shit up. Or just make an argument that makes no sense at all. I know I've already said it before at the beginning, where people have responded to this video and debunked his stuff, but I had to take matters into my own hands. And before this video ends, I would like to thank y'all for sticking around. Because it comes to show of what not to do when to make a Godzilla video. And Skipper here should think before posting a video about the King of the Monsters. Once again, I'm not the type to go after big YouTubers, but I felt like somebody else had to respond to this video. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed, or didn't enjoy it, I guess. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. And I hope you all have a great day, everybody. And stay wild. Goodbye, everybody.
They counted me out like never before, never again. I'm back up, look at the score. I'm back up, look at the score. I'm back up, look at the score. Look at the score, score. We back up, look at the score. Look at the score.